quite some time.
Yeah, just a little background. I joined about 4 or 5 months ago, and yeah, would love to connect and see how we might be able to work together more. Yeah, here I'll go ahead and share my screen here. Everybody see this okay?
Yep, all good.
Great. So yeah, as I mentioned, I joined Digital Promise about 4 or 5 months ago. I'm the partnerships manager with our micro-credentials team. So working with, developing partnerships both nationally and internationally around micro-credentials. And yeah, just wanted to give you a quick overview. So I'm based here in Chicago, Illinois, and we have offices in DC and San Francisco. So I'm stuck in this ice box that we also call Chicago here right now. So yeah, can't do anything about that. But so Digital Promise is essentially a nonprofit organization that works at the intersection of education leaders, researchers, technology developers, with the goal of improving learning opportunities for all students and really closing the digital learning gap as much as possible. So just want to share a quick piece of history. Digital Promise was authorized as an act of Congress under George W. Bush, and moving forward a few years became an organization under the Obama administration with some startup funding from the US Department of Ed and the Carnegie Corporation. But I just wanted to point this out because we so rarely see policies now that started with a Republican administration and carried over to a Democratic administration. So just wanted to celebrate this rare show of bipartisanship here. So Digital Promise was founded with this idea of spurring more equity in education and spurring more innovation in the digital education space as well. So just want to share a few of the sort of guiding principles for Digital Promise. So networks are really essential to the work that we do. And a couple of those big networks are our League of Innovative Schools, which was one of our earliest initiatives. And that's basically a group of forward-thinking K through 12 district superintendents that solve challenges facing our schools, and particularly around areas of technology. And we also have Verizon Innovative Learning Schools program, which is made up of about 250 low-income middle schools that provide one-to-one mobile devices, connectivity at their homes, and professional development for educators to better work with students around technology use. So we also really believe that nothing inspires and builds the capacity for change like stories. So we have a lot of blogs and social media posts that basically just document the progress of school districts, schools, educators, and students toward really transforming teaching and learning and expanding opportunity, especially for marginalized students in the US. And we also have some really top-notch research teams on staff here at Digital Promise that do a lot of academic research around learning sciences, learner variability, computational thinking. So we really pride ourselves on the academic research that our team does here to inform best practices in education. And finally, we really believe that it's important to engage students with relevant, inspiring, challenging coursework. And so we have developed some great frameworks around challenge-based learning, maker learning, and computational thinking, just to name a few. And we have schools and districts that we work with around the country and actually around the world as well that have used some of these frameworks, which I'll show you here in a sec. And so here are just a few issues that we're kind of working on, and this is not an exhaustive list, but just some topic areas that are really front and center for us. So in terms of students, we're really looking at ways we can use credentials to bolster economic security, well-being, and agency. We think that's incredibly important. Right now, we don't have as many student micro-credentials as we do for K through 12 educators, but we're starting to dip into the student micro-credential space. We're also looking at some regional career pathways that are tying K-12 and higher ed education to industry. And so, yeah, looking to develop more partnerships around that as well. And we really believe that students should be recognized and have their learning honored, even if it's in informal settings and sometimes outside of the school building. So we're looking at creative ways to make sure students get credit and recognition for rich learning opportunities that they've had in their lives. For educators, digital promise has really been a big part of shifting this narrative from we call it sit and get professional development, where teachers are just going to like a one size fits all training, and really shifting that mindset over to more authentic competency based micro credentials that are based on their specific needs. And we're also looking at ways that we can support the educator profession and build pathways down into high school, where we're trying to attract young people into the teaching profession, because as I'm sure many of you know, right now in the United States, the education profession is kind of in a crisis period where people are leaving the profession. It's hard to attract new people into it. So we're looking at that very closely as well. And then in terms of systems, really working with states and state boards of ed and local boards of ed around micro-credential policy adoption, and making sure that micro-credentials are recognized by professional development organizations and teacher recertification programs. So yeah, just wanted to share a couple big issues we're working on. And just a few quick facts about our educator micro-credentials. We have about 500 currently in our system. And those, again, are mainly geared toward K through 12 educators, but we're starting to expand a little bit. And we have about 119 issuer partners. So those are universities, nonprofit research groups, and the like, that sort of create the content and provide that research backing for the micro-credentials that we offer. And right now we have about 37 states that have educators using micro-credentials on a regular basis as part of their professional development. And here are just a few examples of some of our popular micro-credentials. Down here at the bottom, we developed a great stack of micro-credentials for teachers in Puerto Rico. And that whole offering is in Spanish. So really trying to look at developing micro-credentials in multiple languages as well. So I just wanted to give you a couple examples of really popular credentials that we have right now. And just a few quotes on what educators are saying. I know someone earlier, I believe Naomi, you were mentioning how it's sometimes difficult to quantify how effective micro-credentials are, but we are collecting some data on that, and the teacher feedback that we're getting is really positive as far as their outlook on how useful micro-credentials are for their practice. And so I just want to share a couple of direct quotes that we had from a blog we posted recently. And finally, I'm just really excited to work with all of you and get to know what kind of system change initiatives have been successful in other countries and regions, and seeing ways we can incorporate those here, and also just how other countries and regions are improving education and workforce opportunities for marginalized populations. At Digital Promise, we're really looking at equity and ways to build systems and build practices that lift up students who may have been excluded from traditional learning pathways. And I really would love to just align our efforts at Digital Promise and serve as a conduit and an advocate here in the U.S. for ICOBC and this working group. So those are kind of the goals I had. And again, this is not an exhaustive list, but that's kind of kind of what we had in mind. But
Excellent. Very good, Casey. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. Can maybe open that up to questions for Casey?